I think one of the things I enjoy the most about producing Wild Harvest is giving you some tips and some techniques. However, you cannot stop there. This is just the open door through which to travel. The truth of the matter is, to gather safely and responsibly is to seek out a local expert. Start with your books, go online, but find a local expert, someone who's passionate about wild edible plants, and have them teach you the safe and responsible ways to enjoy the wild harvest.
That's cool.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Every time I go out for wild edible plants, I end up having option anxiety. You know what the solution to that is? One. One tree, one plant. And even with that, you end up with all kinds of choices and options. Is it the roots, the stems, the leaves, the flowers, the seeds? What season is it? Should you gather in the spring, summer, the fall, maybe even midwinter? So get to know one plant, one tree, one wild edible as your doorway out of your home and into the wild harvest. All right, Paul, well, I've brought you up from the river because I want to focus on one this time around, okay? Right here, right here. Check this out.
Well, that was fast.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm looking at? Because I can see, 6 different plants right now.
I'm guessing spruce tips.
You guessed right. This is the Sitka Spruce. What we have here is an opportunity to take one species, the Sitka Spruce, but look at multiple ingredient sources. So, number 1, we have the spruce tips. Number 2, as you know, the spruce needles. Here's what I did for you. I came here a couple of days ago. I came down and I gathered a bunch of these tips and some of the sprigs, the branches, for the needles and the tips. I took them back to the kitchen. And I actually spent some time making spruce needle infused water for you. By the time you get it, it will have been soaking for 48 hours.
Like cold brew coffee?
Yeah, exactly. I also made some spruce tip simple syrup.
Lovely, okay.
I did use standard white sugar and a splash of honey. And again, that will be soaking for 48 hours before you get it. So it should be lots of rich flavor, resins in there. Now for you, what I want you to do is to gather as many needles as you think and as many tips as you think you might want to use. So this way you end up with, in essence, 4 ingredients from this one Sitka spruce. Syrup, the water, your needles, and the tips. Growing to more than 300 feet tall, the largest species of spruce and the 5th largest conifer in the world, the Sitka is found in southeast Alaska. And then it hugs the west coast of Canada and is found all the way down to Northern California.
There's nothing bitter about it. It seems like there's a bit more of a resin component to it, which is lovely. It could go with anything. Beef, poultry, maybe even dessert. As I think about the spruce tree and the 2 things that I gathered a minute ago, you've got the needles, which are really bold and delicious. Just the way that they coated my palate was truly unique. And the tips, although they're not what I'm used to, they're definitely in the realm of savory. I want to capitalize on that. I also want to capitalize on how sweet this location is, how sweet the air is, how nourishing this environment is.
All right, we've got all 4 ingredients here.
I love this moment.
My contribution and your contribution. We've got spruce tip simple syrup. the spruce needle infused water I've been curing for 2 days. The Sitka spruce needles themselves and the Sitka spruce tips. Well, they're the same things in many ways, but I had fun making you some spruce needle infused.
Classic.
Well, we have a couple of ounces of spruce needle infused water for you. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna make you some more tonight.
Okay.
But in the meantime, let's go back to where we were. Ah, see, this happens. It really does happen. Now, before I spill anything else, let me grab this spoon here. I haven't tasted it, but I'd love your reaction to the simple syrup.
Thanks. I definitely am curious about this. Oh my God, that's great.
Is it?
Oh, so good. You captured the flavor of the spruce tips, but they're more pronounced in a vanilla tone to me. This is actually really fun. And now that I've tasted your syrup, I've got all these great ideas about what I can do with it.
Like what? What do you think?
I'm thinking maybe it's time for a dessert.
Ooh, okay, you know what? Don't tell me any more, because you know I love dessert. So you can think about that, what type of dessert you might want to make. I'm going to leave you then to these 4 ingredients, and you can suss it through and figure out what it is you might want to do.
Sure.
Sound good?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go see if I can make some more spruce needle water for you. Darn it. All right, well, this is the Sitka spruce. Now, how do I know it's a Sitka spruce and not some other kind of spruce, or maybe a fir tree or pine tree? Come in close and get to know the needle. That's really one of the easier ways to figure out if you're looking at a spruce or a pine, or a spruce or a fir. Now, when it comes to looking at the Sitka spruce needles, I like to look at them from this end. So I'm looking kind of down into the way they form, and especially the underside. What color is the underside? Are there any lines on the underside? How many lines? All of that, and in this case, I know that the Sitka spruce needles go all the way around the branch. That's very important, because other trees, such as balsam, they may flatten out, or they might flatten out only on one side. So with the Sitka spruce, the needles go all the way around. Now, the other way to properly identify the needles is to break it off, and I look down the broken end of it, and I notice that these needles are actually 4-sided. You know, if you think of it like the mint species, mint have 4-sided stems, or often just called square stems. And this needle is a 4-sided needle. Now, you need a magnifying glass or glasses or younger eyes to see it, but fortunately I can just see it just like that. And yeah, so if you look at it right down the end, you can see that it is actually a 4-sided needle. That's the Sitka spruce. Okay, well, for proper harvesting, I'm going to walk my way around the tree, taking only 1 tip from each branch. Many of them have 3 tips on them, and that way the tree will actually continue to grow in a more uniform manner. If I just harvested from one side on a constant basis, then eventually that tree is going to look very lopsided, because I'm literally pulling off this year's intended growth, and I want to be kind to this tree. All right, where do you want it?
Right around here should be perfect. Oh yeah. It's not a bad kitchen. I can't believe the opportunity I have. This perhaps is the most incredible kitchen scenario I've ever had. I have an idea with the spruce tips and the needles to kind of make a green sauce, something that will really taste good on the steak. All right, just to smash these up a little bit, I want to release all of the essential oils that are in the needle. Okay, next up, some oil. Not too much, this is still about showcasing the ingredients. And now I just have to let that sit in the sun and give it some time for those flavors to develop. So I'm planning a cold cabbage salad, capitalizing on the Sitka needle water and a little bit of the syrup. I think what I'm gonna do is make a salad dressing for my cooked coleslaw, where the foundation starts with a little bit of this water. So this dressing is made of nothing but spruce essence and flavor. See how that's working flavor-wise. Okay, that's in the wheelhouse. Yeah, that's such a pleasant surprise. There's one more thing that I'd like to make, a seasoning salt to use when I cook the steak out of the Sitka needles and the tips. I'm cutting these up as fine as possible. Now a little bit of salt. There we go, steak seasoning. That's a beautiful fire. That's the sound. I know that wok is hot. Just a nice hint of caramelization. Some browning on that cabbage is gonna add a bit of a nutty flavor. This beautiful needle water that Les made might impart some flavor into the cabbage.
Best part of the day. Come on up.
It's time to rub the steaks with the beautiful Sitka salt. It's beautiful. One neat trick with the wok is to use it to cover your meat when it's cooking over a grill, especially in a campfire situation like this. Two things happen. Number one, it's capturing all the smoke. Number two, it's helping warm up the steak. So you've got that heat coming in from underneath, but the top is warming up at the same time, so when I flip it, it's gonna help me cook it faster and get that proper doneness. Oh yeah, look at that.
Well, that looks like what I think it is.
Yes. Thanks for building me that fire.
That's my pleasure. Ooh, this is such a great and beautiful reveal. The meat's done to perfection. What's the greenery?
Well, right there you've got Sitka tips.
Yep.
You have some cabbage, which is a cold salad. In the salad itself, there's a lot more going on. I've got spruce tips. I used your syrup to make the dressing. I used the water to make the dressing.
Let's try this. There's the spruce tips.
I even tried using the water to help steam the cabbage when I was cooking it. The flavor ended up dissipating. Like there was nothing there. It was a novelty more than anything else.
Well, I'll push back a little. No, it didn't. Not really. I'm tasting it.
Good.
Well, no, and now granted, I'm incorporating as much as I can from the greenery in with the steak. It's there. The flavor's there.
That's good.
I'm not. It's not lost on me. If you said this is your spruce tip, you know, grilled steak with salad underneath, and the spruce tip would not be lost for me in this flavor. It's not overt. It's not in your face. There's a subtlety to it. You may have actually nailed the proportioning here, because if I had that spruce tip in every single bite that I was taking right now, it would become too much. It's a very unique flavor, and I'm enjoying getting a flavor where it's subtle to barely noticeable, and then another mouthful there. Oh, there it is. I'm calling this dish a win. I don't think this is a fail at all. I think for me it works beautifully. I don't think I'd want more spruce tips in this. I love it the way it is right now.
Yeah.
There's a strong flavor, and then there's subtle flavors, and then there's, oh my goodness. Hey, ha there, ha, 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 Go on. Up, hey there. Oh! Go on. Go on. As crazy as this all is, it's kind of the thing to do. Make him afraid of us. Go on. Ha! Get out of here. We like you, but we cannot feed you. Now he looks dejected, and I feel bad. The worst thing, absolute worst thing that we could do right now is to sacrifice this wonderfully cooked steak to him. And people do that. They throw a piece of meat. Go on! Go on! And that's the wrong thing to do. Because at that point, you've just taught him that you don't mind feeding him. He knows you mean food. Go on! See, he's circling around us. That's not good. Don't like this. Let's pack up and give him his space and head back to the fishing lodge for dessert.
It's not often the wild harvest ingredients are suited for dessert. I think this is one of those exceptions where it is. I'm really looking forward to using these needles to make a custard. It will be one layer of needle flavor, and it's a base where I can use Les's syrup with those beautiful spruce tips and that wonderful flavor to kind of float on top. And that will be the start of the dessert. There we go. I'm chopping it down because the small pieces actually release more flavor. I'm making a syrup to flavor my custard, but it's not going to have the same flavor profile as the one that Les made. This one is made from the needles and from the branch. Much different flavor. Yeah, that should do it. It's coming along nicely. What the heck? I'm gonna add some bigger pieces, because I can. Now some heavy cream. Back on the heat. Not too hot, nice gentle. I'm cooking this over low. Now, what I'm about to do is essential when it comes to making a custard. It's a step called tempering your eggs. So what you need to do is ladle in a little splash of the hot cream. Stir that up. What it does is it makes sure that the eggs are a closer temperature to your hot liquid, so when you add the eggs to the liquid, they don't cook and scramble. Now that I've tempered my eggs, I'm going to stir them back in to the cream. And that's essentially all it is to making the custard. All right, now one very important detail when cooking custard is to cook them in a water bath. Time to get them in the oven.
This is one of the most wonderful and beautiful experiences when it comes to gathering wild edibles, is coming across the gorgeous creatures of the forest. This beautiful big Bruin is very familiar with coming to this fishing lodge and munching away on the grasses and dandelions. He's just doing what I'm doing, foraging for local wild edibles. He really doesn't want to interact with me, and I don't want to interact with him. So the safest thing is to do what I'm doing right now, speaking in a nice, calm, monotone voice. and not doing anything too startling to him to get him upset. If I really wanted to get rid of him, I'd be loud and smash pots together and stomp my feet. But I think what I'll do is I'll just sit here and enjoy the moment, because right now, he is just another fellow local forager out after the wild harvest.
Okay, the custard looks perfect. However, I know it's sweet because I tried the mixture before baking it. And I want a little bit of cream, just some plain whipped cream to offset that. And I've got exactly what I'm looking for. Man, that was adventure at its finest.
Oh, this is my first vision of this. Oh my
Surprise.
goodness. Wow, that looks amazing.
I've got to tell you, this dessert represents a whole bunch of different things. I'm glad that we've got this rock to sit on, because if you look at this dessert and then you look out at all the colors,
Right.
here they are in your hand. But it was one tree that made that happen.
Sitka Spruce.
Sitka Spruce. So on the bottom is a Sitka needle custard. And that custard, the reason it has that patina was just based on how many needles I put in there to get the flavor.
That's smooth. Oh, I love the texture of the spruce tips. Oh, I gotta have a little bit more of this. Wow.
Does it say Sitka Spruce to you?
It does, and I'll tell you why. My experience right now with this dessert is very similar to the experience I had with your main meal, the steak. The Sitka Spruce is subtle. If I take it with some of the spruce tip, and there it is.
Yeah.
Right?
In your face.
Right in your face. And I actually really enjoy the texture. They're like little tiny broom ends, you know?
I have to tell you, regarding the texture, the candied tips, when you made that syrup, are decorating the top of that cream. And then I also have some chopped fresh green ones, and that's how I got the color palette to kind of look like the moss and look like the valley.
You know, when you start foraging locally, you have to understand that it's going to be a bit of a community in some situations. There may be people that come there and they may want the same plants that you do. So it's best to act like it's a community and that we all are able to enjoy this wonderful wild harvest. Now, I've never said that there weren't risks associated with harvesting from the wild. You may find that you're allergic to something. You may find that you are up against poison ivy or poison oak, or you may run into wildlife. What a wonderful way to experience local foraging when you can share it with a creature as beautiful as a black bear. That is a moment, with or without camera, that will make you fall in love with the wild harvest. If you'd like to continue the wild harvest with me and Chef Paul Rogalski, then please check out our website at wildharvestfilms.com, where we have recipes and foraging tips along with deleted scenes and outtakes from the making of Les Stroud's Wild Harvest.
Directly inspired by the series, Chef Paul and expert forager Les Stroud bring you the Wild Harvest Season 2 recipe book. Highlighting all of Paul's dishes and complete with behind-the-scenes stories, it is available for $29.99. In addition, a DVD of this season is also available for $19.99. To order, please go to wildharvestfilms.com, Wild Harvest TV show on Facebook, or Les Stroud's Wild Harvest on YouTube.